All right, welcome everybody to our latest MX Vice SMX Review Show podcast as we talk all things A1 from what was a fascinating weekend of action. Firstly, thank you everyone for listening and supporting the site. We really appreciate it. We'd like to thank our sponsors in Fly Racing, Monster Energy, Fox, Parts Europe, Scott, Bell Helmets, Acerbis, ASV Performance, Kawasaki UK, KTM UK, O'Neill, and of course, Even Strokes for all their incredible support, as without them, none of this would be possible. All right, for this episode, we have another Whiskey Throttle times MX Vice collaborations. I'm joined again by the great man, Whiskey Throttle Editor at Large, Jeff Beaver. How's life? And thanks for joining us, mate. Must have been a crazy weekend for you down on the floor at A1.
Oh man, life is good. The old man is sore, man. That was a busy weekend. Friday press day, and then Saturday morning, early bird gets the worm, man. I don't know what's up with these kids, man. 8 o'clock don't cut it. You better be at the gate at 6 out there. I was first one in the pits, man, but if you're going to be a media guy, you got to be out there getting shots and seeing what's going on, but it was an absolute blast. So Whiskey Throttle is credentialed now for the entire Supercross season. We've got our team out there, Nate, me, Bruce, Brent, Adam, Ping. We were in full effect. Come in looking like Men in Black, all slicked out, dude. We were a crew, man. It was pretty funny, So big dumb animal and my kids running around, but we had an absolute blast. It was fun to finally get in and be in like legit instead of going in and just pirating like I have been the last couple of years and just doing G shit, right? But now I got access, but along with that comes responsibilities and stuff like that, and representing the company. And one is my mouth, but I'm not an OR remind me anymore. I got to remember that. I'm like, damn it, got my hand slapped a couple times, but oh well. But no, we had an absolute blast. The vibe at Anaheim, oh dude, and I've been to a lot of Anaheim ones, and that vibe was off the hook. I mean, 4 champions on the line. Jason just, he's smiling a lot. Chase, he's almost there. Tomac, he stays off. It's just kind of like I seen him walk into the track walk. I followed him up the track walk with his dad, and I kind of stay away from that guy. He likes to be left alone, so I just leave him be. That's just Tomac, and if he wants to say hi, hey, cool, right on. But otherwise, I leave him alone. And I didn't get a chance to see Cooper. I'm trying to get over by the Yamaha pits. Is next to impossible. They need to spread out the pits probably another 15 feet because you can't walk between the rigs. It's insane. And, which is a great thing for the sport. If it's that crowded in the pits where it's gnarly to walk through, it's a real good thing. But the vibe was it was there. We followed Billy Laninovich around. I don't know if you guys are really following that in Europe. You should, but Billy's 40. He won the San Francisco Supercross in 2005. He's our boy. He was Ping's teammate, and one of the cool things about that is he did the Whiskey Throttle show last year, and he mentioned that, I think I'm going to go racing again. And Ping was like, yeah, whatever, funny. He goes, no, man, I'm serious. I'm thinking about going racing again. And Ping was like, you're nuts, at 40 years old. But old Billy did it, man. Him and John from Motor Medic Racing. It's funny because Billy's the nicest, most humble guy in the world, and if you get to know John, he's a real nice guy. But if you meet John, he's a tough walnut to crack. He's kind of a grumpy guy, so it's kind of the odd couple running around. It's kind of hilarious, but they do it. So they've been training their butts off, and Team Faith, Fly Racing's putting them out, and Bobby J's, Yamaha, they stepped up and helped them out big time. And so we filmed some, funny little edits with Billy and some track stuff with Billy, but it was kind of cool to go around and just follow his day coming back. I caught him right after the first practice, and, he was like, it was good, but, a little rusty, some nerves and stuff like that. And every qualifying, he improved, right? And unfortunately, in the LCQ, he came out 21st out of 22 out of the gate, which sucked. He was super bummed on it. But what was rad is a 40-year-old dude went from 21 and he finished 9th. And so I was talking to him last night on the phone, and I put a little edit up. If you guys see it, it's on our Instagram and our reels. I wanted to see after we got back, after he came back out of the LCQ, and it was him and the guys from the team, and they're very faith-based, right? Which was solid in my book. And they were all kind of in a group huddle, praying about the night, that, hey, they made it all out of there in one piece, right? And so that was a pretty, like Dave said, it was a pretty powerful image. So I filmed it and put it up. But, I talked to him last night, and I told him, hey, look at the numbers on that. It's like got 150,000 views, and I go, the people are stoked on what you're doing, Billy. And he was like, right on, that's rad. And then I was like, man, if you would have come out mid-pack in that start, you would have won that LCQ. I said, so just, you got the rust off, you got the jitters out of the way. Now it's San Francisco, but San Francisco is supposed to be a mutter. If you look at the weather in San Francisco, it's supposed to rain Saturday and Sunday. And that's a cold, nasty, wet one. So I'm not going to make it this week. I got stuck at work. So I'm kind of like, well, I'll be watching it from the nice, toasty hotel room, cheering you on, buddy. But hopefully I'll be back. I plan on being back San Diego and A2, and then we'll do Seattle with them. So we're going to kind of do a series with Billy. So you guys will get to see kind of the saga, but the old man will make a main event. I promise you that. You could see the look in his eyes when he got off that bike. He's got a lot left in the tank. His riding's solid, and he's got something to prove to himself. Really, you can see it. So, kind of wanted to start off giving some props to Billy, because that's pretty special. I mean, you think of Chad retired at 40. This guy was crazy enough to go, I'm going to come back. I mean, do you imagine? So.
His last main event was over 10 years ago, wasn't it, mate? And obviously we were speaking to JT last week on the podcast preview, and he was just saying there's not many people that you look on a bike that are that talented as Billy, so he'll be fine. He should, attack the challenge fine. He's, well positioned, better than most to do what he's doing. So they had full faith in him, and someone like JT knows him well, like yourself, mate. So it's just cool to see him out there, mate. He got some good coverage on the broadcast. So all positives, and everyone in moto loves those kind of stories. It resonates with the fans, those comeback stories where it's like all the hard work and effort and the grind to be at that level to race professional supercross in America is nothing short of amazing at 40, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, his last main, I do believe, was in 2011. He said his last mud race was 2008. So if it's a mudder in San Francisco, all bets are off with a mudder. He may win the damn thing. You never know. He may win the main. Who knows? Billy, a mudder is the great equalizer, right? So I told him, go get one of your Pirelli mud tires and water the heck out of the track this week and just start mud bogging, man. John's not going to be too happy with him having to clean that bike, but that was my suggestion. But I mean, what do I know? No, it was just really cool to see him. And if you ever get a chance to meet him, he's just such a great guy. You'd have to be half dead, brain dead, not to vote or cheer for the guy. So, yeah. But anyway, so yeah, Anaheim, it was a blast, man. RJ Hampshire. What'd you think of RJ?
Oh, mate, he's an animal, isn't he? We were sort of putting him at the top of those rankings, him and Shimoda, Kitchen, Volan, where would he fit in? He's got the experience. He's been around for a long time. He's still demanding. He's still so demanding of himself, the team, the bike. He wants everything at the level to make him perform at the best, and he just showed what a class act he is, isn't he, mate? In the heats, in the mains, all night he was on it, and it was great to see him win, and he hasn't had that title, mate, so I reckon the time is now for him to get that 250 title. Lawrence brothers are vacated. He's got the speed, he's got the skill, he's got the mindset, the most important thing, as well as the experience, which a lot of those other guys are racing. They just don't have, and money can't buy it. And he's just, he's just so cool to race and so cool to see him succeed. He's emotional, puts his body on the line, mate. He's all in. So just so cool there, mate. So your take on him as well, was that sort of echoing what I was saying there?
Yeah, I mean, dude's gnarly. And, Bruce, our brand manager, is real close with RJ, all the way back from the amateur days and Alias and stuff like that. So they have a real long-standing friendship, right? And so we spent a lot of time hanging out with him on the weekend and just kind of getting the vibe of how he felt, dude. And you couldn't have knocked the smile off his face all weekend, and he was just dialed. He had his kids and his wife there, super stoked when he won the race, dude. He gave his daughter the trophy, and it was cool, man. And when he was spraying the champagne bottle, dude, it was like he won his first race. He was that stoked. But the kid's got nice kid. He's got skills on the bike, and he's a dog. I mean, I forget kind of where he started, a couple spots back in his heats and in his main event, but he bulldogged his way to the front, right? So I cannot wait to see what happens the rest of this year. I hope on his nights where he's not feeling it, that if he has to take a third or a fourth, that he doesn't try to ride like it's his last race. I hope he's can settle for like a third or fourth if he needs to, because I think it'd be really rad to see him get a title. And Nate Dogg, the manager, man, I want to see Nate and those guys prop him up, and Nate needs a title, and Nate probably pick him up on his own. He's that buff, dude. He'd probably pick me up, and guy's a little Arnold Schwarzenegger, I swear to God. But, there's something special going on down at the Baker's factory. I think if you look at how Mookie and Christian and AP and, Casey Cochran and RJ, they're all bros, and Casey's probably like the little brother in there. I got a chance to talk to him and Guillaume at the truck, and it was funny, dude. I mean, they talk so much shit to each other, and then if somebody's talking shit, I'm not even part of the team. I'm going to come in, and people are talking shit, I'm going to get in there and start egging them on. So I start egging those two on and getting them bickering at each other. It's freaking hilarious. I was like, this is too easy, man. I like this, dude. I'd do this. I'd pay to do this, but there's something in the water down there that they're doing right now that's really good. I mean, look at AP, finished fourth. We're kind of bouncing around, but just for what's going on with RJ, and he's going to rub off so good on Guillaume and Casey. I think he'll be a good mentor for them, and it's going to be a rad season, dude.
Yeah, he definitely is a guy that sets the standard and sets the tone in terms of fitness and mentality and stuff, RJ. And obviously he was so cool doing what he did at the Nations. And you think it holds him in good stead. He barely had a week off between the Nations and getting back into the grind, preparing for Supercross. And he was already preparing for Supercross before the Nations. So he's in a really good place. He's kind of had the preseason. Do you think that hurts him later on in the season, doing so much racing? It was such a massive 2023 for him and a lot of these other guys. So I guess he's primed at the moment, but I suppose racing 250s, it's not too bad because you get some of those weeks off. So I guess he's just primed to flex the muscles and get this title.
Yeah, I mean, you say, is it going to affect him racing all those extra races? Well, all the top guys had to race those extra races too. So everybody got about the same amount. So everybody's coming in on a level playing field, right? And they none of them were walking around grabbing their hip. We pretty much made it into A1 with unfortunately the only person getting hurt was Cold. He has a rotator cuff, and that's kind of a week to week. He could have raced, but if he lands on it, then he's really in trouble. So they just I think they made a wise decision to not put him where he misses a whole season again, because that's just too big of a setback. So hey, they put Short and Benny out there, but yeah, I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah, it's a tough one to sort of navigate. You just don't know where they are. Obviously, a guy like RJ's never going to quit, so that's definitely one thing in his favor. He's probably like the most fierce competitor out there. So on to another one that excelled this weekend. We're starting with the winners, and obviously we got to talk about Jet. Excelled again, mate. The guy's just an absolute freak. First 450 rookie to win on debut, mate. So in the class, just another masterclass. He's so impressive, and they can't really say anything about the field not being stacked because his field was absolutely stacked. 450 Supercross is no joke, isn't it, mate? And the scary thing for him is he still has room for improvement with himself and the bike and the team. So that was exceptional, wasn't it, mate? The technique, judgment, decision making, so confident. And I guess you look at him, he's got that sort of happy exterior, happy-go-lucky, loves to laugh. But when the gate drops, he's so competitive too. He's an absolute animal. So it's really cool. Obviously, we were talking about Dazzy before, and he keeps those guys on the right path. He keeps them humble, makes sure they're doing the work. They're never going to get too far ahead of themselves under that framework. So, and obviously they're doing that Feld experience as packaged to the Lawrence brothers, which is so cool. Great for the sport, sort of to elevate and transcend, some barriers, break down further barriers to get them more mainstream, into Supercross. So really great weekend for Jet Lawrence, especially. So it'd be great to get your thoughts on Jet. And obviously on the other end of the spectrum, Hunter, what a disaster for him, mate, but he'll come back strong. He'll bounce back. He's used to facing adversity. So look out for him at round 2, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, but so we'll start with Jetson. But, there was a couple little things. Jetson showed that he was human. Coming out of the sand section and one of his times out on the track, he came in so hot to that right-hand turn that he almost blew the berm, and the bike kind of kicked to the right and went in his favor. And then I think he tripled out of it, if I'm not mistaken. Like, so he turned a screw up into a just, oh, watch that. Like, Jesus Christ, what are they putting in his Wheaties, And then when he had that crash where he came out of the whoops, he hit that rut, but his body was leaned to the left in the heat race when he went over. He got lucky and landed real soft, but so there's a couple things, but he was talking about in the press conference about I had to go. I started out way too stiff with my bike, so I think those are some of the things that he hasn't raced every track and got on every dirt in the same season, and he was on different bikes. So you're riding kind of different lines and stuff, and setting up the bike. I think when you're doing bike setup, I think that just comes with experience. I mean, some people are going to adapt to setting your bike up quicker than others. There's guys out there that have been racing for almost 10 years that don't know how to set their bike up, like feeling wise, you can just hear them talking. Like, oh, okay. And then there's other guys who are brand new and they're like, oh no, I need this and this. And, you talk about, torque values on motor mounts, affecting the chassis and the triple clamp. Some of those guys are so sensitive that they can feel the way it turns in and turns out. It's crazy, right? Me, I use the German torque spec good and tight, and we just run that and it feels fine to me, but I'm slow as molasses running uphill in February. So it doesn't matter. But the way he races, and people talk about, is he playing mind games? Is he just running at 80%? And that's the big question we got to see. Roxon was really fast, and I kind of want to see, like, when Roxon or Chase or when Eli knocks the dust off and goes beast mode, what Jet's going to do. If Jet's going to ride at the pace he rode at on Saturday night, or is there another gear in there? Because he's no dummy, and I totally think he's being coy. I think he's got a little more in there, and he probably runs just far enough ahead to kind of let him be right on their tail. But I just think he's that dialed in right now at this point in time. And Chase has got a little catching up to do. He looked really, really good in a lot of the circumstances, but new bike, and they threw a lot at him in a short period of time. But you're a stupid son of a bitch if you don't think that Chase is going to figure it out. That in the press conference, there's a meme page. It's Vince Freeze is one of the most funny meme pages you'll see. I won't say that you can take what F stands for, but it's F Vince Freezy. And he put a meme out, and it blends from Chase has 1,000-yard stare at the press conference. I was sitting in the front row. My big head was kind of blocking out part of the press conference. But when we were sitting there before we got started, Jason was sitting right in front of me. He was happy as can be. Jet's over there cracking jokes, and Chase was just staring off into infinity. You could just almost see the fire in his eyeballs. And I go, dude, that guy's pissed. He is pissed that he's in third, dude. Anything but first place ain't going to settle with Chase, period. So if you're sleeping on him or telling me he ain't going to do nothing, you get your shit wrong, because that ain't going to fly with him. And he'll figure it out. He's way too good to not get up there and go. I mean, he had mono and came back and started giving Jet the business at the end of the motocross season, and he didn't come into it in any ideal fashion. So I have no doubt in my mind that he'll give him the business. It was awesome to see Anderson just getting it, and he was hanging with him pretty good. That sand section was probably the gnarliest section of that track, where Jet was coming in and he was kind of pre-hopping, and then he drop into that hole and bounce over to the outside from the inside. Jason was doing that same line, and he was doing it just as clean. I know the broadcast was, talking about how great he was doing it, but Jason was doing it just as good. If you go back and look at some of the footage, he really was. And Cooper was too. So there's some guys, the old dogs aren't gonna let them, the minute there's some blood in the water, they're gonna just ravage him if they can. They like the kid, but they're going to chew him up and spit him out if they get the chance, and then look back at him and smile, right? But they never know. They may not get the opportunity. That kid is amazing, right? But
Yeah, he combines the starts too, doesn't he?
it was ridiculous. Dude, did you see in the main? I didn't hear anybody talk about it, but Prado was right there. Prado almost got the start. I forget who kind of cut him off, but if that other guy hadn't been there, I think he would have got the whole shot. I mean, I remember somebody making a comment, well, he doesn't have the MXGP start device, blah, 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 blah. Well, whoever made that comment, I think he shut you the hell up the other Saturday night, because I was like, holy shit, dude. He shot out of there like he was in a cannon. And there's one footage of him coming over, and I was talking to Greg Schnell. He sent me a comment. He goes, dude, look at this. And he was just completely laid over on the outside of his tire and just going for it. And Greg won races, right? He's a former pro rider, dude. He rode for Yamaha Troy, rad dude, right? And he's like, look at this dude, and this guy, first Supercross he's ever been in, and he's just going for it. So to all the haters that we're talking about on Prado, I think he finished 13th, but he was running like 9th, 10th, 11th, most of that May. So he was right in the mix, and I wouldn't, San Francisco's going to be a mutter, and he's got that taken care of, got that first race under his belt. I wouldn't be surprised if he ups his results in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating. Obviously, he struggled, he was admitting afterwards that he struggled in the whoops quite a lot. He obviously got lapped by Jet, but that's, no shame in that. The guy's just a machine, and pretty solid debut, really. Such a huge undertaking to fit in there and just to do what he did, make Nevada. Obviously, he ticked that box off well, qualified reasonably well around that top 10. And, he admitted that he, struggled racing at night, which is not what he's used to. So that's another thing you got to adapt to. And, even navigating all those sections, isn't it, mate? So I guess you look at it as a good building step, pretty amazing achievement when you step back and look at it, coming in and racing 450 Supercross and getting 13. Amazing experience. And he sort of battled through so much discomfort throughout the whole day and night, really. So much things to figure out with himself and the bike. So all in all, mate, how was Prado from you? And pretty impressive, I reckon.
I was impressed, but you just made a good point. I never even thought about the fact that the dude's done racing at 4:00, right? Whatever, something like that, whatever they end. But he's a daytime guy, early morning and go. I mean, Supercross, you're on the track from early morning till, this one was nice. They were done at 8:00 at night. I really am stoked on how Feld, first I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. And then when we were done and I was at home in bed at 10:00 at night, I was like, dude, that was rad. Do it again. So I think all the West rounds ought to start early. They ought to start at 5:00. It's great because then the East Coast people, you're going to get a lot more viewership back there, and it was cool. But I think he'll do really good. To go back to Prado, I seen him at the scrum after the race. I didn't get a chance to interview. We were kind of late to get to the scrum because we were in the post race. But I did ask him. I said, "Dude, what'd you think? Did you have fun?" He goes, "Man, that was a good time. I had fun." But he goes, "The whoops," and he got real big eyed, like the whoops. And then those weren't even really big whoops. So I would think he's going to be doing whoops drills at the test track today. He's probably hammering down on those pretty good. But if it's a mutter, he's going to be jumping whoops. So it's going to be pretty gnarly. I think that mud favor, like we talked about last time, the mud's going to favor him and AP and Barsha and it'll be cool. But yeah, I think he ended up right where I thought he would, and I think he'll improve from here. But you can, everybody was like, well, is he going to stay? No, he's got to go back for MXGP, but he was coming over here to see if he likes it. And I can tell you from my own eyes, just talking to him, after the race, that he was stoked, dude. He had a good time. He made it out. All his fingers and toes are, attached, and he's not leaving in a meat wagon. He was stoked, So hopefully he makes it all three happy and healthy and can go defend his title, and then come back over here and maybe do a season of Supercross. Go for the gold, right? So maybe put Spain on the map as Supercross champions.
Yeah, mate. Well said. Great insight there. It's pretty cool to see. Obviously, you speak to them and they're sort of a bit more unfiltered, when you're speaking to them in person and they're just the buzz is there, the adrenaline's still pumping. So that's really cool, mate. And yeah, you fully expect him 2025 full-time assault, isn't it? It's on the cards.
Yeah, and sometimes it's better to talk to those guys without a camera in their face, because then they're a little more comfortable, A lot of guys don't like camera in their face. I mean, I wouldn't like a camera in my face. I'd probably punch you in the face if you stuck a camera in my face. And I'm the guy sticking a camera in everybody else's face. But I'd be the one that know real quick, get that thing out of my fucking face. Pardon my French, but that would get annoying real quick. Though, kudos to all those riders who can tolerate the media dorks running up and getting in their face. I try to be respectful about it, but sometimes you just got to get in there. The one nice thing about being a big old moose is at the end of the race when Jetson came up, I just kind of plowed right. I was watching the TV show last night, and at the end, and I was like, "Oh, I made it on TV," But I was right there. You got to stay behind the NBC guys. You get in front of the NBC guys, you're gonna be in the doghouse, right? So it's the NBC guys, and once that's out of there, game on. May the best man win, and being a big old country boy over here, I can plow through. So I worked right up there, and I got my little shots, So, but yeah, it was fun. I think the whole experience was just rad, dude. Yeah, but I want to go back to Anderson though. A lot of people. He talked in the press conference. 2022 was a rad year for him. It really was. I thought in 21 he was just going to go, yeah, I got my championship. I'm done. And then when I heard he went to Cali, I was like, okay, cool. This is breath of fresh air. And he tore it up, dude. It was like, holy crap, him and Mookie going at it. This was all. I think he won 7 races. And then last year wasn't the best deal for him, but he talked about it. He goes, man, pregnant wife at home. I don't need to stress her out and all that stuff. And to see him come out last night on that new bike, and he just looks so relaxed. Like, the old saying, the father and the son cow are sitting on the top of the hill, and the kid cow goes, "Hey, Dad, let's run down and screw one of them bulls." And the dad goes, "No, son, we're going to walk down and screw them all." Right. Calm, cool, collected, and had a plan, right? Dad had a plan. Well, Jason's got a plan. You could just see he was totally content. He had his daughter at the race. It was first time, and actually got a cool shot of him giving his daughter a kiss after the race. I think his mom was, or his stepmother-in-law was holding the daughter, and I gave it to Jason's wife because, that's a rad shot, So, new era for Anderson. Family man, Dad Anderson is out there. Maybe we'll get him in some New Balances and have him out there in some jean shorts or something. I don't know. He's pretty styling, so I don't think Team Fried's going to go with the New Balances. I think we're going to keep that with Dean Wilson, but he was definitely stoked, kind of relaxed. I walked down the tunnel before opening ceremonies, and he was sitting in the bucket of a loader, just kind of chilling by himself. And I looked over and nodded. He nodded back. "What's up?" Just taking it all in. And wasn't nervous. He didn't have the anxiety look on his face. It's a different Jason Anderson that I saw. And that first time really being up close with him, but seeing how he was with press before, and before the races, you'd see him in the pit, in the paddock, and he kind of just looked, intense. And he, not that he's not intense on the riding and stuff, but he seemed to be taking it all in and handling it like a straight badass, right? He was just, yeah, I'm here, I'm doing it, let's go. So that was kind of cool to see. That was one takeaway I had that was pretty impressive for him, I think. So
yeah, I think that's when he's at his best. He's going to be dangerous if he can keep that up, keep the focus, and just do what he does best, mate. Ride the dirt bike. He's like an extension of the bike. He's so smooth and flowing. Got the jersey hanging out the back. Definitely the one-piece suit wouldn't suit him, would it, mate? From Craig, which we'll touch on later. But another man talking about country, talking about cowboys. Plessinger, mate. How good was he? So fast. He looked confident. He's, that's where he belongs up there, doesn't he? And if he has a better start, you never know what he could achieve. And he said he's in great shape. He's had a great preseason. He's feeling good with the bike, feeling good with the team. So mentally, physically, everything, the exciting times ahead for him. And he was super fast in the whoops, wasn't he too, mate? You would have seen that firsthand. And obviously his sort of flying at the test track chat took over Malcolm's lately. So he definitely translated that into the racing as well, which obviously is easier said than done. So I reckon he's in for a big season. Mate, he had a big season last year, like we were talking with RJ with the Motocross of Nations, and he just brings the feel-good vibes to the series, and hopefully that win could come this weekend too, mate, after what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's all building blocks, right? Stacking pennies is what Dave says. And he had a solid year last year, and now he's coming in happy and fit. And I did catch an interview with him at the Scrum, and the one thing I asked him is kind of like, hey, you're kind of the head guy, you're the kind of the senior guy at Baker's factory, the way I look at it. And then Malcolm, this is a cool thing. He gave credit. Malcolm's a little older than me, but I think they've been there right around the same time, but it's a toss up. Who's the head dude right there? And I think right now, if you're looking at it at the Baker's factory, it's probably Aaron Scott, the head of steam, right? With Malcolm coming off his big injury. And I said, what's that like for you, kind of being the big dog down there now? That's got to feel good for your confidence and kind of all that stuff. And he goes, yeah, but then that's how it kind of went into how they're all kind of real tight and all that stuff. And him and RJ and Malcolm, I keep trying to like rile them up about their fishing shenanigans, and I think you guys may see their first YouTube edit is Malcolm and AP and RJ going fishing. And so this is how that video is going to go out in my mind. Malcolm's going to come out like full factory fisherman, everything. He's going to have a mechanic on the boat, handing him reels and lures and stuff. AP is going to be out there just being AP. And then, I see RJ over there with like one of those automatic reels that you have when you're a little kid. And just like, dude, all right, I'm over it, man. Let's go to the store and get some fish there. This is too damn hot. We're in Florida. That's the way I see it playing out, but I see it as absolute comedy gold. So guys, if you actually watch this, please do that YouTube, because it'll be freaking hilarious, dude. The three of those guys would be like the Three Stooges on a fishing boat, right? That they're missing out on just comedy gold and a little bit of YouTube cheddar, make some side money. So I think they should do it, but he absolutely was flying on the bike. He looks happy. You can't win the championship at A1, but you can lose it. And thank God none of the main players lost it. Even Cooper got up and finished the race, and that's one guy that surprised the hell out of me. I mean, I knew he would be solid. I figured he would kind of come in top 5 after Paris. And then, in qualifying, he was kicking butt, and whoa, dude, that's usually not his strong suit. And then, dude, he was racing, he was going for it. And the one thing I liked is when he came up hard on Anderson in that corner, they kept it. He could have yard sailed Anderson into the cheap seats, and he didn't. Straight respect, right? And then they went at it, and Coop going down sucked. And, Chase was riding by going, thank you, Jesus. Then right on. Thanks, Coop. You steak dinner, right? But I would hate to see the look on his face if he didn't make it on the podium. But so Coop's got a chip on his shoulder big time, I guarantee you now. So we're going to see him come out firing. So that's the awesome thing about the sport and how the rounds play out is nobody ran away. Well, Jet ran away, kind of winning the race. That was unexpected that he would just lead it wire to wire, but everybody came in and showed such good potential. Chase, Cooper, even Roxon in his heat race, so it's game on, dude. They've got a big mountain to climb with Jetson, and like Tomac even said on the broadcast, hey, he's the guy. He's one of the dudes. So if Eli Tomac's saying you're one of the dudes, everybody else in the paddock better be paying attention to that, and you're a dummy if you don't. But And,
Yeah, Coop
and, you
looks
know,
thinner, didn't he? He's lost a bit of weight, all the talk is, and he just like you look at that from Paris, and that's a completely different rider almost. And he was hanging in there third most of the evening, and he just looked really up for it, didn't he? Like you said, battling with Anderson. Good to see those guys back where they belong up the top. And yeah, it's going to be make for a fascinating season. Those guys are all going to be battling it out. There's going to be so many huge battles coming up, isn't there, mate? And he's ready for the fight, isn't he?
yeah, he looked comfortable. He just, the track bit him. It could have happened to anybody. So, um, I don't think there's any worries at the Star Racing camp about Cooper Webb. I'm sure Bobby was pretty happy. I mean, they were all, I guarantee they were bummed that he went down over that was a weird little hip, but it looked real kind of, you had to hit it perfect on that downside or it would have been easy to wash. But it was weird. If you look at the video, man, it just drilled him over the bars, right? You know, so luckily his season didn't end at the beginning, right? So we're all lucky for that because having him in there just makes things interesting. You know, I wish they would mic up the helmets on the start line like the NFL does because Cooper would be talking shit. You know, I mean, hey, let's get over. I know we all want to be professional and shit, but you want some views, you want some interaction with the fans. Mic up Cooper Webb on the start line. That'll be one of the biggest things viewed in motocross, right? You know, his head games are second to none. So that'd be funnier and shit. I don't see it happening, but boy, that'd be gold if they did.
Oh, mate, he'd be the man. He's the gamer, isn't he? And I just wanted to get you some stats from our stats master, Paul Piercy. Obviously, he delivered some stuff that's just gone up on the website. So your take on these ones, mate? Obviously, the main event fastest laps was Lawrence, Plessinger, and Anderson, but there's only really a couple of tenths, less than a couple of tenths between them, mate. So it shows how close it was, that top speed of those elite guys. And the average lap times, obviously, Lawrence, Anderson, and Webb. So that sort of shows Webb how good he was riding, the consistency, and then the most consistent lap times we've got here. So the smallest difference between the fastest and the slowest lap was Sexton, Ferrandis, and Barsha. So there's some interesting stuff there. Shows the guys that have the staying power and the fitness. Obviously, Jet does. He sort of manages things and he can take the foot off the gas. And, you know, you're dealing with lappers and all sorts of things to vary these things. But pretty cool stuff by Paul there. And pretty interesting Ferrandis, mate. I want to get your thoughts on him. Obviously, he looks so happy. He wanted to be on that Honda, didn't he, mate? He's got the program. He sort of says not so much about the resources you have, it's about the way they're channeled. And he's got a small team, but they're really smart people. They're so intelligent with the bike and they know how to make him happy and to make him comfy. And the results was a testament to that. And he wanted that Honda and he's relishing the chance, mate. Everything seems to be fitting him well. And it's a great start to the season for him getting fit.
I was impressed with him. I thought he looked great, you know, and they're a new team, you know, stepping up to another level that they weren't at last year. And he's got a wizard behind him. I mean, if you guys over in Australia or in England don't know who Ziggy is from Factory Connection, he was the guy behind the Geico Honda team, you know, Factory Connection, all the way back from when LaRocco was on it, then Wyndham and all the Geico kids. Ziggy was the guy behind, you know, one of the key guys behind that, but he's the suspension guru, right? And Dylan looked really comfortable out there, you know, and so to go from his results last season to a fifth at Anaheim, I think everybody's pretty happy with that. That's a nice cornerstone to build off of, right? And the guy knows how to ride a bike, and you know, there's chatter that he feels like he's back on his 250 days, like he can ride the bike like he did. He rode the 250s, and the dude was insane in 2019 at A1. The way he rode that bike, I mean, Jesus, you know, nobody was as fast as Dylan Ferrandis in 2019 on that 250. I mean, he was just ridiculously fast. So if he can figure that out and start riding the bike like that, where I don't know if my way of explaining it, when he would come into a corner, it was like he was throwing his bike and momentum. It just like he was trying to stab the turn and then fly through it. Like he wanted to murder every corner with speed and power. And if he can ride a 450 like that, you know, everybody's got their own different style. Jet super smooth, Eli just bulldogs, Anderson, you know, shirt flapping in the wind and
surfing.
And Anderson's got crazy finesse. You know, he's finesse, but he's just insane all over the bike. You know, is he going to yard sail or is he going to just do something amazing? You know, that's the way it looks in my mind when I see him. You know, super rad rider, but just crazy, right? You know, like just things flying all over the place. You never know what's going to happen. And then Ferrandis is that guy who's a surgeon. He's just trying to murder the corners and go as fast as he can. And so there's a bunch of different riding styles out there on the track, and it's going to be interesting to see who stays on top and, who has good weekends in different types of dirt. And, that track at, in Arizona, that when they get it wet in the morning, man, it's like riding on grease. I've walked that track at track walk, and boy, you got to be careful that you don't end up on your butt just trying to walk across from whoop to whoop, so who's going to be able to ride the snot, who's going to be able to ride the ruts, who's going to be able to ride the blue groove, right? So there's a lot of things and a lot of riding styles that are going to come into play this season, and we're going to have fun watching is what we're going to have fun doing and talking about it.
Oh, man, it's such a long season and so many, like you said, different surfaces, different conditions. They all got to navigate it all, mate, in that 450 class. It's brutal. And to be a champ, it's so difficult. So to see how it plays out, it's going to be so good. Obviously, it's about that consistency and management because you can't win every night. Obviously, Jet's sort of proven us wrong last year with the outdoors and just throughout his career, but he's going to face some adversity, no doubt, at some point. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on Kenny Roczen. Obviously, him and Mookie went down early, but those guys were hauling through the field, weren't they? A little bit underrated, I guess, unheralded rides because they weren't at the front, but they were seriously fast, and it was pretty cool, mate. Kenny would have been loved to see those guys get a start and see how they stack up, but nonetheless, they deserve credit for those rides, mate, and coming through. And I'm pretty sure Kenny wasn't too far from Tomac by the end, wasn't he? And yeah, so it just shows the speed, and when he's happy on that Suzuki, mate, he can do great things. So watch out this weekend.
He was impressive in that heat race. I mean, he checked out. I mean, he sprints probably harder than anybody out of the gate. Unfortunately, he went down in the main event, and Mookie went down, but they both charged forward through the pack. I mean, I really, being down on the track, you don't see as much as you think you would, right? But you could, I would kind of gauge guys as they would come by where they were at, and like, okay, you kind of counting from a fixed point. All right, he's gaining on him. You can look back up at the ticker tape and wait for the times to come by, but then you miss the race, so you just kind of pick a fixed point and count 1,000, see if they're kind of catching him on this lap. So he was charging hard. I don't think he got hurt or nothing, but if you just kind of wipe away the main event results, because the crash off the start kind of screwed him, but he's definitely super, super fast. And that, I think he looks already more comfortable on that bike than he did last year. He's got a full year on it to develop that thing and make it exactly what he wants. So I don't think we've heard the restable kickstart. Hopefully he busts out his polish and polishes up his kit start, so it's nice and blingy for when he gets on the podium and he can get up there and yay me and all that stuff. Mookie, God, man, I wish he would have come out and lit the world on fire. I just, there's two people that if they win, like I said, if Aaron wins, they're going to break the internet, and Malcolm's the other one. It's just, I just want those guys to get it, even if it's just one. I don't care. I want them to just kick everybody's ass one night and stand on the top of that box, because that stadium's going to be so loud. If they do it at Seattle, that's like the loudest football stadium in America. So the acoustics in that stadium are ridiculous. They designed it actually that way to kind of mess with the other team, right? They probably all wear these gnarly earplugs or something to play, but that stadium's super loud. And if they win at either one of those, dude, they're going to shatter windows. It's just
same as AC too, mate. He'd break a few things, wouldn't he, if he won?
Yeah. Hope he doesn't break a bunch of hearts this year, because he's got so much talent and so much time, and that would be another one. Like I said, it'd be a podium speech for the ages, right? But hey, one thing we didn't go over that I'd like to catch real quick before we wrap up is Max Voland. How good did he look, dude? He got that heat race win right out the gate. Got his first heat race victory. Super fast. Bummed he didn't get up a little farther in the main, but hey, Kitchen's a gamer. But the PC boys, they came out swinging. They said, hey, we're here. And what are we thinking? We didn't even talk about Bowmare. We got to talk about Bowmare real quick too. But Max is game. That move to Kawasaki was the right move for him. And one of the questions I asked on Instagram was, we've had father and son in Europe with the Everts, right? And actually now grandson, right? All racing. But if we ever had a father and son race for Mitch for the same team, Talon and Tyson raced for him, his uncle. So 3 members of that family have raced professionally for Mitch. I thought that was a pretty rad stat. And to get a heat race win his first time out, that was pretty rad. But keep an eye out for him.
So skilled, isn't he?
Dude, the kid just rips. He just rips. And he's got his dad, working with him every day. That his dad was the only dude who could straight up wax Ricky Carmichael outdoors when he wanted to. I mean, one of the few, right? And so when you have a guy like that in your corner and Mitch in your corner, I think that's just the right environment for him to be in. He's dialed. And then Juju, holy crap. Davey, man, hell yeah, Davey Millsaps. He planted a good seed and watered it. Farmer Davey raised a good crop on that one. But I couldn't believe how fast that kid was going, dude. He's just getting it. And I imagine nerves got to him, maybe a little bit of just, oh my God, I'm at 15 minutes here, and so he started going backwards a little bit, but I don't think that was a fluke. I think everybody better keep an eye on what he's doing, and I'm sure there's a lot of race tape that they're watching on that kid and seeing what he's doing and how he's doing it. But he's got no fear. I know that he'll hit anything.
And the starts were amazing too.
Yeah. His starts were killers. So if that kid's, I was like, everybody talked about how good Hayden was right out the gate. Well, look at how hard he came out firing his first Supercross. I'm kind of the battle of the kids. I want to see him and Hayden go at it in one of the East West shootouts. That'll be pretty interesting because they're both Bulldogs, dude. So that was the first thing I was thinking when he was in the main run arounds. I can't wait to see him and Hayden go at it. I hope the moto gods bless us with the two of those guys through a rhythm section coming into a corner, because it's going to be epic. Neither one of them is going to let up or cut the other one any slack. I think they're both pretty clean racers, but don't think they won't block past the shit out of each other to get in the lead. But so that's going to be one that we really want to look out for these West shootouts.
Yeah, the talent's massive, isn't it? It's so exciting. And obviously he'll develop at his own pace. But for a debut, mate, how good was it? That was just so impressive and definitely opened some eyes and, probably exceeded expectations well and truly, and kind of vindicated KTM's decision to hand him that factory spot, mate. He just looked so good. And he's definitely got that little bit extra that a lot of other talents don't have, doesn't he? He's got that little bit where you think, yeah, we can work on this, like you were saying, mate. And working with Davey, he's in a good position and he's got the whoops pretty dialed. He's got the sections pretty dialed. And he obviously comes from that jet ski background. So speed's no issue, is it?
Yeah, no, that and the pressure of winning championships. I mean, championship's a championship, I'd imagine. I don't know. I never won one. I won the cheeseburger eating championship sitting on my couch watching motocross. That's what I was a champion of. But he's a 7-time world jet ski champion. And for y'all guys over across the pond there, Lake Havasu is the world headquarters of stand-up jet ski racing in the late 80s, early 90s, and still now the IJSPA is coming back, and he's 7-time world champion. So the kid knows how to handle pressure, win a title, train his ass off. From our sources talking to Davey, he said that kid has got a work ethic like no other. You can have the hardest work ethic, you can be a big dumb animal and work like an ox, but not retain anything. But if you're an ox and you work your ass off, but you can retain things and learn things and pick up things quick, and apparently his ability to get shown something and retain it and put it into place is the best out there. So if the kid's like that and he doesn't ragdoll himself into infinity, then I think you're going to have a title contender grooming up here very shortly.
Yeah,
It's
it's
going to
going to be
be.
so cool to see how it plays out. And I guess any final thoughts from you for the 250 class, mate? Obviously, Shimoda, probably not the night he would have liked, mate. Obviously, the heats didn't go to plan. He had that crash, and then the mains didn't go. He obviously would rather be much better than fourth. I guess he's still okay. It's first round. He's got plenty of time, but you don't want to give RJ too many points, mate, because those two are going to be right up there all the time. So plenty to work on for him, mate. He'll be looking to come out and improve. But yeah, he's such a skilled rider. You definitely back him to do that. And obviously, you go down the list, Marchbank 7th, Oldenburg 8th, Ryder D down in 9th, Mumford 10th, Bourdon, the Frenchman, pretty decent. I left at that one in 11th. And as you sort of rule down the list, obviously Lux Turner had a really nasty incident there, didn't he, mate? And you have Talon Hawkins. There's some really talented guys back there. And obviously, too, we need to discuss, which you saw, obviously Nicoletti had that heartbreaking bike failure at the start, so he couldn't line up. And Nate Thrasher down there as well, having another nasty crash. But Yamaha have since said that he'll be all right for next weekend. So any of that to pick at there, mate?
I walked by Phil when he was on behind the start gate after he couldn't get out there, and you could just see he was pretty upset. So stay away from Phil. He just leave him be and let him sort it out. I don't need that kind of ass chewing in my life. But Thrasher, yeah, want him. Maybe we need to get him a Thor instant airbag suit. I don't want the guy to get hurt, man. I want him to make it out. But he's right up there. Jordan Smith was fast as shit, and we didn't talk about that. Thrasher's capable of running with all those guys, and I was really stoked on seeing Juju do good. I was really stoked on Max. I like the kid. I think he didn't have the things set up the way that he needed him in the past, and now he does. So I think we're going to see a completely different Max Voland. Kitchen, he wants to win a title for Mitch. He came to ride that bike because he wanted to win a title for Mitch, and he wanted to have his kind of way of doing things, and now he's got it, and he showed that he's capable of pulling forward, and it's going to be interesting to see who's consistent out of the young kids, right? And Joe, that sucks he hit the ground, but he's got a great team behind him. Those guys know how to win. Hunter, oh, poor guy. Just sucks, dude. But don't count that dude out, because I saw him at the Honda test track preseason. He's fast as hell, and he looks good on that 450. He had a shit night, everybody got to pay the piper. And Marchbanks, how rad was that? The Club MX guys, man, you gotta like those dudes, man. They get after it. I talked to Mike quite a bit over there, and he's cool. They just got a great program. I can't wait for the East to open up and see how those guys do over there. But I think Anaheim one all in all was successful. Sucks the guy from AEO. It sounds like he broke his hip or something, but yeah, that's a heartbreaker. But they've got Talon Hawkins over there now, and that kid's rad. He looked really good out there, and I think he qualified right into the main out of the first heat he was in. So that was pretty. I was pretty stoked on that. If he gets comfortable, real comfortable on that bike, I expect to see some good finishes out of him, higher than top 10. I want to see him get into the 5, 6, 7 range. I think he really is capable. He's super fast. When he's comfortable, really be happy on that. But I just think we all Saturday night, tune in. And was that Sunday morning for you guys over there in Australia?
It's kind of Sunday morning, Sunday Arvo, so it's a good time.
Yeah, so that's good. So Sunday afternoon for you boys, and Saturday night for us on the West Coast of the States. It's gonna be gnarly. Looks like we're going to get that mutter we were all wondering about. And when San Francisco's a mutter, it's a slopper. It's not this Southern California raid. And, I grew up in Northern California, and all these people in Southern California, it rains an inch and the whole world ends. And, they think the sky is falling. When it rains in Northern California, that's some mud. I've buried many a 4-wheel drive trucks up to the headlights in that mud. So imagine what happens when those bikes get out there, and it's a quagmire. I don't care how much plastic they put on the track. I don't care how much they pump it out. If you go back and look at all the mud races that San Francisco ever had, it's just an absolute quagmire. So if we're going to have a mutter, let's have one where it just looks like a hillbilly redneck motocross race, and we have to wipe off their number plate to see who won. That's what I want. I want it to just be a complete shit show. don't want anybody to get hurt, but I just want asses flying everywhere and squirreling out and, falling face first in the mud. I just want to just watch them grind for that win if they're going to do a mutter. So anyway, I'm glad. Thanks for having me back on, man. I was stoked.
I wanted to get your thoughts on Justin Cooper quickly too, mate. A guy that sort of went under the radar, consistent, measured, stable, really smart rider, very technical. And I guess not many people had him beaten Tomac at A1. So a little bit underheralded ride, but really good effort, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah, I guess we should talk about that. And we didn't talk about Eli. Yeah, I mean, hey, Justin's a gamer. He's fast. He rode a 450 last year and did pretty good, And I think he kind of reminds me of RJ the way he is, just a bulldog. He's just a bulldog, and I think he'll figure that 450 out, and I think he's going to surprise some people. And Eli, I don't even go on the Vital Forum anymore because it's just it's like watching a bunch of window lickers type on the computer. It's like, fuck, man, shut up. But Tomac's dude, the guy had what could have been a career-ending injury in May. Let's see your fat ass get back on a bike and go for it. Give him some time. And nobody's more gnarly than Eli Tomac, and I hope he does a Supercross series, and I hope he has enough fun to where he does motocross, because I want to really see him and Jetson outdoors, and then come into the Super Motocross finale and really go for it. So that's the one thing people got to think about. We got Supercross, then we got motocross. It's not two separate series anymore. They're all tying in. And one thing I noticed last night, they mentioned on the broadcast, they changed the points around. So last year it was 26 points for a win. It's now back to 25 points for a win. So that's going to change around the way the point structure goes for getting into SMX finals. So Eli had an 8th. Okay, well, he's had an 8th before and come out and won the title. So, he's not historically not the quickest starter, but hopefully come San Francisco, I think he won San Diego, the last big mudder we had, so he can ride in the mud and win in the mud. That's a real deal for him. But I want to see him kind of shut the pace eaters up. I want the old man to come out there and slap them kids around and tell them to shut the hell up and go sit back in the corner where they belong. He's as an old guy, you want to see the old guy kick the shit out of the kids a little bit, So it'll be a good time to see him when he finally goes beast mode, man. And just you piss him off enough, and you're going to get what you asked for. And
yeah, he's coming. You don't want to poke the bear, do you?
No, you don't want to poke the bear, because he'll give it to you. I don't think gives two shits if he hurts your feelings on that track.
So, mate, he's an animal. Yeah, he's so cool. We just want to see him back out there and firing. So, yeah, but anyway, mate, really grateful for you taking the time to join us on this one. And a quick final thoughts for you. What's up for the rest of the week? And you guys at Whiskey Throttle have been crushing the content, so I'm sure you got some big plans as well, mate. So just give us a rundown of what's happening for you and the team at Whiskey. And definitely thank you for joining us again on this one, mate. Cheers.
Well, we're squirreling around. Working on the logistics to get our guy up to San Francisco and film some more stuff. And Bruce is getting ready for an NGPC round. Our National Grand Prix Championship Series is starting up. So Bruce is flying the flag for us. So we're a media team, but we're also going racing, So we're kind of doing everything, So we're Supercross, motocross, NGPC. We got some cool dual sport stuff we're going to be working on, more of our racing stuff, So we're promoting races and going racing and doing media. We're doing all kinds of shit. Look out. We're coming. Get out of my way. If you're in my way, I'm going to mow you over. Right. So
all bases covered.
Yeah, pretty much. Right. We're hungry and we're getting after it. So that's kind of the schedule for the week. Unfortunately, I'm stuck up in the middle of nowhere, but I love what I do, and I love the mine and the people up here. They're awesome, and so I'm going to go make gold great again, and then be back down and hopefully see everybody in San Diego, because I'll tell you what, it's about 22 Fahrenheit out here. It's cold, and I'd much rather be in that nice, warm, sunny San Diego weather in the winter than this, but got to do what I got to do. But let's catch up. Hey, if I'm free, I'll get with you every week and do one of these. I think it'd be a blast. We'll chop it up because I like to really hear. And it'd be cool. Maybe get your folks over there in Australia and in England, have your supporters send in some kind of questions, for us and or some things that they want to talk about. I would love to hear the feedback from the guys in Australia and the guys in Europe. I would love to hear what you fans think of what is going on here in America and any questions they have that we don't talk about. I think that'd be kind of cool. Maybe we could do a little couple questions. We answer some fan questions. I think that'd be kind of cool to do, if we're gonna do these recaps and talk about the racing, let's answer a couple of fans questions. I think that'd be kind of sick. I really want to know what you guys think over there. I think it's pretty rad. So.
Yeah, mate, the fans are awesome and they have good insight and they have great ideas because they love the sport like us and they're so passionate and often, they don't have platforms for their thoughts to get heard. So, yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, any questions, happy to fire them off and we'll take them, won't we, mate? So before we let you go, mate, we'll thank the sponsors in Fly Racing, Monster Energy, Fox, Parts Europe, Scott, Bell Helmets, Acherbys, AS3 Performance, Kawasaki UK, KTM UK, O'Neill, and of course, Even Strokes for all their incredible support. As without them, none of this would be possible. All right, that's been the latest MX Vice SMX review show with Jeff Beaver, Whiskey Throttle Editor at Large. All the best and look forward to speaking to you next time.
All right, brother. Have a good night and be safe.
No worries, mate. All the best.